Mike Hart is helming a running back room that, again, those guys expect to be the guys that lead this offense. And Clayton, a piece of yours actually just went up about Hart saying that it's not good when you can only run the football. So like even Mike Hart realizes that there's going to have to be some healthy balance there. And I think that's, again, what they're going to continue to strive for.
Yeah, they are. And people saying, oh, it looked like Blake Corum lost a step. And I'm like, and I was talking to Skeen about this and watching it, when you hesitate, you look slower. And at times he didn't have a choice but to hesitate. That hole closed up so quickly. There were times when I saw that burst again. There was one time a guy got him by the foot when he was just getting ready to explode. And on the 21-yard run, I believe it was. The 37-yarder, the guy had an angle on him. I think he's going to be just fine. I thought Donovan Edwards was a little tentative, to be honest with you, on a couple of his runs, but he'll get better as well. So this is, again, you're feeling out a new offensive line, whereas last year, it was clockwork. You knew who was going to be in there. You knew their tendencies. You knew what they were going to do, where they were going to be. Same with, and having a tight end out there, Luke Schoonmaker too, who was outstanding as a blocker. So Colston Loveland's going to have to pick it up in that area. A.J. Barner got beat once or twice, I saw on film early on in the second half. So these are things that need to get worked out. But to say that, Blake Corum isn't the same back as last year and what happened to him and so on and so forth, like Clay said, he averaged, 7.3 yards per carry against a stacked box, and it could have been more, and it will be more. I think there's no question that he's going to have his share of big games. So I did think it was interesting, too, that Mike Hart was talking about having 4 number 3 backs. And he said, we didn't have one in the past. He said, Kalel Mullings is really good. He's shifty. He's big. Benjamin Hall. And he said, Cole Cabana, who didn't even see the field, I don't believe. The kid can play. He's just not going to get the opportunity at this point. Maybe, did he get in there late in the game, Clay?
No, I think he might be a little banged up because he was questionable and then he didn't play. So
yeah, so there you go. So, but they've got options there, and but really the 1-2 are what you're looking at, and some nice pass blocking too, some nice blitz pickups from number 2 in there as well, a couple of times. So again, one game, make your biggest improvements between week 1 and week 2. I'm excited to see what they do against UNLV.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear to me too. I mean, Donovan had more touches than Blake in this game, and I thought Mike, it was cool that he pointed out that he didn't hear a word from Blake about that. I mean, this is a kid who carried the ball 29 times per game in Big Ten games last year when he was fully healthy, and Donovan Edwards has more carries than him. Blake was much more effective. I thought they did a good job of kind of making sure Blake didn't do a ton in the second half there, just kind of keep him healthy. And as Blake said, he didn't get hit all of camp or preseason, leading into this game. So he hadn't gotten a hit since Ohio State, which is still insane that he tried getting that out. So, but to me, it's clear that Blake Corum is going to be the guy that's going to carry the ball a lot. I still think Donovan Edwards is, improving as a ball carrier, but I did like some of what they did with, the one where Donovan split out to the right on the short side of the field and they're coming left to right there. You kind of knew they were going to go to him. They do. He picks up 3 first downs. I think 3 of his 4 receptions were first downs. And I thought that the way they put them kind of split in the backfield as well, we're going to see more of that throughout the season. You're also, sometimes it's good not to have them on the field at the same time, so one of them can be resting and get the other guy in. So they're going to handle that, I think, pretty well. But, Mike said today that they need to get them both on the field together. And that's something Jim Harbaugh said, that they're more dangerous when Donovan eats, as you said earlier, AB. So, yeah, I mean, to me, the third running back doesn't really matter because you have a decent amount of options there. And Hart said that today, too. Like a year ago, remember that Maryland game? Donovan's out. They have to go to C.J. Stokes just because Blake was so tired because he had so many carries in that first half. And C.J. Stokes has a costly fumble. Now, I mean, I'm not saying these guys may not fumble, but you have a lot of different options. Kalel Mullings has experience. Stokes has grown from that experience. Ben Hall, is a guy that looks like he's the 4th guy right now behind Kalel. So it's a deep room. You got those top 2, and you're pretty much rolling at this point. I think Blake looked a little bit rusty, but he'll work back in, and he called it a warm-up game on Saturday. So I think he's just getting started.
Yeah, and I like that they did kind of divvy those snaps up. Again, it might vary a bit from game to game, given if it's more of a passing game. Maybe you see Dono out there a little bit more. If you're hammering teams, maybe it's Blake Corum getting his vintage self 25 carries. But it's not going to be a scenario where you're going to run both of these guys on the ground. And, there's only one Travis Hunter in the country right now. I don't know how sustainable that is, playing 129 snaps in a game, but was a lot of fun to watch. I'll say that. Number 3 running back, I like that they can kind of do it by committee. I mean, if you need, one of those guys is hurt at the top of the depth chart, who you bring in on a 3rd and 8 is a lot different than who you would bring in on a 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2. And, the fact that last year your number 3 guy coming out of camp was a true freshman, and that same guy this year is maybe at least your 4th or 5th running back, it speaks to the depth they have and what they're comfortable with. So, not concerned about the run game at all. Again, better blocking up front, better communication up front, more sound decision-making from the backs in general, I think is going to, these are all things that are correctable. Nothing I saw Saturday registers as maybe a legitimate concern moving forward.